It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Lincoln Memorial's head women's lacrosse coach, Coach Alyssa Shaver. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's lacrosse?
Yeah, so I actually started coaching lacrosse when I was a freshman in college. I was 19. I'd actually torn my MCL in like the fourth game of our season. So I was recovering from an injury and still at practice every day and doing everything I could to get back on the field. But a local program reached out to our college coaches needing some help, and I volunteered and went and started coaching. And Um, it was fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth grade, and I loved it. And I just, after that, I stayed with that program for a while and kept kind of moving up, started coaching high school, and I was still a player. And then um, when I finished my career and I helped out with my alma mater, I loved coaching so much, and I was working a corporate job, and I felt like I was working so that I could coach. And then the opportunity came to actually apply for a head coaching job so that it could actually be my job. And I went for it, and it was kind of over after that. I fell in love with it and kept going.
What was that experience like first going to Lawrence Tech and getting to compete in lacrosse there?
At LTU um it was a first year program. And I actually was um it was a very non-traditional path. So I had actually gone to out of high school, I've been recruited and gone to the University of Detroit Mercy and played on their inaugural program for 2 years. And then um, I left school after my second year, and I moved home, and I was just working and coaching. And I was 23 and I wanted to go back to school, and Lawrence Tech was starting a program, and I just happened to run into their coach at a at a tournament, and went and visited their school and like enrolled in classes, and so I ended up playing on their inaugural team as well. But when I showed up to practice the first time that fall, I was 23 and most of my teammates were 18. So it was like the age of girls that I was coaching. I was a head high school coach. Um, so it was actually kind of, they joke that they were intimidated by me, but I was actually intimidated by them because I didn't know if they would, these are like younger girls. I didn't know like how they would feel about me coming on and playing. And we ended up meshing really well, and now they're some of my closest friends. And yeah, it was like really awesome and fun to be part of, that first program there.
As a college athlete, what was it like going to two schools that you were inaugural programs at?
Um, I really liked it. I loved it. My high school team, even my freshman year, was an inaugural program. So I've kind of that's just been my experience. I don't know anything different. So I think, I think had I been at an established program and then gone to an inaugural program, maybe I would have some different feelings, but it just feels really special because you get to be the start of everything. The first win, the first game, the culture, um, like the legacy you want to, leave for the teams to come. And it's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, there's no pressure because no one's done it before. So you're just like out there and like doing the best you can do and hoping that, down the road people appreciate the time you put in to help start the program.
What was that feeling like getting to represent both programs and putting on that uniform for them?
Um, at Detroit, I think it felt more like, I was a freshman and it felt very like it was like my dream come true. Like putting on like that Division 1 lacrosse jersey and like stepping out on the field and being able to play at that level because it was something that I had wanted since I picked up a lacrosse stick. I played a lot of different sports through when I was younger, all through high school. And as soon as I picked up a stick my freshman year of high school, I fell in love with it. So um, it definitely felt like a dream come true. Um, at Lawrence Tech, I think putting on the jersey there for the first time and like going out and playing, it felt more like I was getting like a second chance to like go back and like redo like my college career. And a lot of people don't necessarily get that second chance, and I did. So it felt like I just had something to prove to myself and that I could like do it, and I could finish out school and finish out playing on a team.
Coming out of college, what was it like getting involved in coaching and coaching on the collegiate level?
For me, it was kind of easy because once I graduated from Lawrence Tech, I stayed on as my head coach's like part-time assistant, and I was able to do that and work and coach a high school team. And so I kind of just stepped right into it. Um, and for me, it was easy because I'd been a captain on the team, and I already feel like I had a lot of respect of my teammates, and I respected them, and we had a good relationship. So I think my first college coaching job was easy compared to a lot of people because I didn't have to work super hard to build those relationships because I already had them. Um, but I will say when I took my first head coaching job after that, it was kind of scary, and it was actually a team in our conference with girls I'd played against, so I didn't really know what to expect, um, but I feel like I kind of just walked into coaching.
What was that experience like coaching at your alma mater?
Um, It was awesome. Like I loved it. I loved getting to coach with my coach that I played for my last year there. And she's actually who I played for at Detroit Mercy too. Like she recruited me to Detroit Mercy. And then um my last year at Lawrence Tech, our coach resigned, and I called her up and I asked her to apply for the job at Lawrence Tech, and she did. And I ended up getting to finish my career playing for her too. And she's just an amazing mentor and coach in person. And getting to play for her was amazing, but like getting to coach with her, um, just learning so much more and like soaking up everything I could from her. Um, and then like coaching, they're obviously some of my best friends, but I feel like we had such a good relationship that it wasn't hard to coach them. I respected them and they respected me. And it was like almost easier because they really trusted what I had to say and my feedback. And I didn't have to like earn their trust. I had done it by playing on the field with them for the last 3 years.
What was that experience like first becoming a head coach and getting started as a head coach?
Um, well, it felt like really awesome to like actually be doing that as like my full-time job. Um, Getting into it and like really figuring out those first couple of years, like everything that goes into being a head coach. Uh, it's I had somewhat of an idea because I would talk to my head coach a lot about it, but like going into it and actually finding like all of the things that you don't think about that go on behind the scenes that like the head coach has to do. And, I talk to my colleagues, and it's like the longer you're a head coach, the less you get to actually do like the fun coaching part because you're having to do like all of the behind the scenes and administrative stuff. Um, that like it becomes less coaching and more like administrative, but I still love it.
What was that feeling like stepping onto the field for the first time as a head coach?
Um, I was definitely excited, but I think for me, because I'd been like a head high school coach for so long before that, it was, um, I'd kind of been used to it, but it was exciting to start coaching at that level for sure, and to just coach a different caliber of athlete.
While at Larist, what was some of the things that you were able to accomplish?
So when I got there, they had never had a winning season and they had never had a winning conference record. In my first year there, we had both, which was super exciting. I think I was able to recruit some really good players there. I only spent 2 seasons there, but in those 2 years, I think the girls that I brought in had a huge impact. And I think in a short period of time, I was able to help um, turn them around a little bit.
How was that experience like for you coming from Larist to going to Urban?
Urbana. So I was very excited about going to Urbana and coaching because they were restarting their program. So I was getting to build an inaugural program, like so I'd played for obviously two collegiate programs like that, and I was really excited to start a program. I was given, a scholarship budget. I was given a year to recruit before we would compete. And even I had some of my girls come with me to Urbana that first year in redshirt that were gonna come play for me at Lord's. But um unfortunately, like due to COVID after that first year, Urbana closed its doors as a university when the pandemic hit. It was a small private school in like a rural area in Ohio, so the board just felt like it was too risky to keep the doors open. So I have a very special place in my heart for Urbana. I loved it there. I loved everyone I worked with. I loved the community. I loved the opportunity I was being given, but unfortunately, I didn't really get to see it come into fruition.
How was that transition like going from the last two previous stops as head coach to coming to Lincoln Memorial as and being their head coach?
Um, so the schools I had been at previously as a head coach, I had to be very creative with the resources that I had and try to make a lot out of a little. And I think having those experiences and being forced to think creatively and like how to use a scholarship budget creatively and an operating budget and how to sell these small schools really taught me a lot with um how to get like a lot of bang for your buck, basically. And coming to like a Memorial, something that really drew me here was like it's Division II. We play in the South Atlantic Conference. They are very competitive with all of their sports. We have a lot of resources here. I was working with a better scholarship budget, a better operating budget. We have our own lacrosse complex. My staffing, I had like a bigger staff here. So coming here and like having those resources, but like knowing I can do a lot with a little, was really exciting for me because I was like, oh my gosh, now that I have all of these things, I'm going to be able to like utilize them and like do so much for this program. So I think that was like the biggest thing for me was like coming to this school and like having the support from the administration and the resources to actually like build this program into some like a really competitive program was really exciting for me.
What was that feeling like stepping onto the lacrosse field for the first time at Lincoln Memorial?
It was kind of scary because it was during the pandemic still. So like my first season here was in the spring of 21. Um, and I think at that time, the recruiting landscape was really hard. No one was playing in person. We weren't recruiting in person. I was trying to bring in that first class, like basically from watching like small clips of them that they sent me from online. And so going out for the first time here and stepping on the field, I think just because of um, what was going on in the world was a little bit made it a little bit more nerve-wracking. But I was definitely excited to be here. I was excited to be part of Lincoln Memorial and part of their athletics and everything that, they're striving to be here.
What was that feeling like taking over and running it as your own program?
Um, I think for me it was exciting to come in and just put my own like spin on things and my own brand and recruit, athletes here who wanted to buy into what we were building. Um, the coach who was here before me started the program. She was here for 6 seasons, I think. She built the program. She brought in the girls. She built the base for what I stepped into. And like without that, I definitely could not have, um, you know, taken the program to what it is now. But it was definitely, um, it's definitely fun to come in and start to put like you know, my own brand and bring, some of like a lot of things that I wanted to change with the culture and a lot of the things that I wanted to do on the field.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build for Lincoln Memorial?
For us, like I think like the big theme the last few years has definitely been Everyone we recruit here, everyone we retain here, we want them to make sure that they feel like they're part of our family and they're part of our team, and that includes like their parents. And like I love, when I got here, there weren't very many Tennessee girls on the team, and so to me, it was like really important to bring in some really strong student athletes from the surrounding area so that we could actually, create more of a culture of family. And since then we've had parents who step up and do tailgates and who are just like huge supporters of our program. And, I think it makes the girls feel, maybe they can't see their parents, they're from across the country. It makes them feel like they have, like parents here, like they have a family here. I think another big thing for our culture has been like we want people here who want to be here and who want to work hard. Like I never I tell recruits I don't favor upperclassmen. Like if you come in and like you're doing your job and you're the best person in that spot, like you're gonna have minutes, you're gonna start. So for us, it's just like, push each other, work hard. We want people here who want to be here and who want to work hard for each other every day and work hard for spots and don't want things to just be handed to them.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Um, for us, like our biggest like threats, I would say, like going into season are always Wingate, Limestone, um, Newberry, Lenore Rhine, um, UVA Wise. Like we have a really competitive conference and we have a lot of really good teams in our conference. So it's always a kind of a toss up of who's gonna come out on top.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Newberry comes to home versus going to Limestone?
Um, for us, like we get a lot of like, especially if it's a Saturday game, like we get a lot of our like local families and like at our games, they always have like tailgates. We get a lot of even, some of the local high school players who either play for my club team in the summer or they played with some of the girls on their high school team. They like to come and support. We actually get quite, for a Division II women's lacrosse program, we usually draw quite the crowd, and it's honestly mostly support from our families of our players, and I appreciate them a lot because it makes us look good and it makes games definitely more exciting. But yeah, our atmosphere is just a lot of our fans of, our players who are coming out to support them.
What have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far as head coach?
Um, I think some of the things that I've been most proud of as a head coach here is um we've had, quite a few um firsts as a program. So like first time wins against conference opponents like Limestone and LR, UVA Wise. Like and it's always been in like really big moments. So like my second season here, we went, we made the conference tournament. We were the lower seed. We upset LR, um, who was the higher seed to move on to the semifinals. And it was the first time in program history we'd beaten LR. Um, the next year, we ended up the lower seed, played at Limestone, beat Limestone in the tournament to move on to the semifinals for the first time in program history. Like this team has done some like really amazing things when it gets down to the wire. And like I always joke with them that they're like trying to give me a heart attack or like a stroke because they always like choose to really like hit their peak at the end of the season. And when we could have been setting ourselves up to be the higher seed or host or have an easier, path to making the SAC finals, but instead we try to make it hard on ourselves, but they like to keep it exciting, I think. Um, but those have been some things that I've been really proud of is like this team has like worked really hard to like earn those wins and like they don't give up. And like they've gotten those wins towards the end of the season when it would be really easy to just be like, oh, well, we're the lower seed. We're not supposed to win today. But they never believe that, or they always believe that they could win. And I think that's like what I'm proudest of is this team like always believing that they can beat anybody.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate lacrosse?
Um, so I actually coach a summer team. Um, and like for my players, I always tell them like you guys need to be reaching out to coaches. You guys need to be getting in front of them. If they're running a prospect camp, like go to their camp, like get in front of them, get to know them, see what they're like go watch a practice, see what they're like when they're coaching their players, go watch a game. Because I do think like the recruiting process is like a two-way street. Like we as coaches are obviously evaluating players and selling our school and our program and ourselves to them, but it goes both ways because like they're also choosing somewhere to go. And I think really understanding like the decision you're making and the schools that you're talking to is really important and putting yourself out there. And I tell my girls, you might reach out to a coach and you don't hear back or you're not a good fit for them, and that's okay. Like you have to put yourself out there. You have to make them know that you exist because otherwise they don't know you exist. Um, but from there, just like getting coaches to look at you, visiting schools, talking to them about where they see you fitting in on their team. Um, I think it's a big decision. And I tell every recruit that comes through here, we want you to come here and stay for 4 years. So we want you to compare us to other schools. We want you to go on visits. We want you to um, at the end of the day, when you pick LMU, we want you to be super confident in your decision and not pick it because, we pressured you to or whatever else, or you didn't go compare us to other schools or you didn't do visits. Like, I want them to be super confident and knowing that, like, they picked here for all the right reasons.
What is it like seeing them fall in love with the campus and the lacrosse facility?
Um, it's like definitely exciting. And I think sometimes I'm going on into my 5th year here and, um, it makes me like I think bringing in people who have never been here before and have showing them the campus and showing them our facilities, it just like reminds me that I need to be grateful for what we have and like that we have a beautiful campus and we have, good academic programs and that we have a beautiful complex because you get used to it. I come to work every day, like I see the same things, but seeing families reactions and recruits reactions to our campus kind of reminds me of like to be like grateful for what we have. And it's exciting to show them what we have. And I feel like really, I have a lot of pride in like what we have to offer here. So it feels good, but it also is like a really good reminder of like, hey, like we have a lot of things to offer.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Element U jersey for the first time?
It's like really exciting. I mean, some of these girls we've, maybe been watching them since they're really young or like been recruiting them actively since they were juniors in high school. And they, if they make it, if they're a junior and they make a decision early to commit here, we're waiting 2 years sometimes before they step foot, on campus to play with us. So that anticipation of like, oh, like we know this kid's gonna have like a really good season with us or they're going to have a huge impact or whatever, it's like I love the first week of practice and getting to see the freshmen um make an impact. And like this year I think we're super fortunate. I think we have a really big freshman class, but all of them are super talented and you can't even like tell they're freshmen. So um yeah, it's just like it's really special to watch them finally like click with everyone else on the team and like find their like role.
How's that like getting to see those freshmen achieve those first big milestones in their collegiate career?
um It's like really exciting. It feels like, I mean, I joke all the time, like I have 34 daughters, but like it's like really does feel like a parent like watching your kid like finally accomplish something and you know, we see them work hard every day towards those goals and um, have those talks outside of practice, off the game field, like, coach, what can I do to achieve this? What can I do to be better? What can I do to do this? And like watching them take all of that feedback and actually apply it and succeed, it just like makes me feel like a proud mom, honestly. Like it's the only way I can describe it.
What is that like seeing those seniors putting on that uniform for the last time representing the school?
Ugh, that is like heart-wrenching. I hate seeing our seniors go. And like I joke with them all the time that I think I just like am in denial until the next fall comes and I realize they really aren't coming back. Because I love our seniors and I just appreciate every year everything that they've done for our program. And um, yeah, no, there's a lot of tears from me and like other girls on the team, from them, it's like it's sad. It's a hard thing to watch because I'm super proud of them and I'm proud that they finished their careers and they're moving on and they're either, starting in the workforce or going to grad school and um, they came in as little baby freshmen, 18-year-olds, and with these like dreams and goals, and then to actually see them like achieve them, it's just, it's a lot of tears. I'm happy and sad at the same time.
How is that like as a head coach seeing them go on and playing in professional lacrosse or even getting into coaching?
Um, I've had quite a few who have gotten into coaching, and I think I love seeing them give back in any way, whether it's like coaching, reffing, anything like that, giving back to lacrosse and helping out in their communities because we have a lot of girls on the team who come from non-traditional lacrosse communities. So for them to go back and coach a team has a huge impact on those players because they're finally getting a coach who can really like give them good feedback and make them better players. And my favorite is I always get the, oh my gosh, how did you do this? Like, text message or message. And it's like, I can't believe this is like what it's like, or like now I understand what you guys went through. And like, yeah, it's not easy. Like it's a lot of personalities to deal with. And but yeah, like I love seeing them go back and give back to the community.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
I think for us right now, we're like in a really good spot. I think we have a really great team here. I think I have a really good staff in place. And this year, I think, short term for this season, I would really like to make the conference finals. We've made it to the semifinals. Um, for 2 consecutive years. Last year we made it to the quarterfinals, but this year I would love to see us make it to the finals. And obviously I want to win, but like for me right now, like making it to that game would be a really big step for this program. And then, moving forward, starting this year, we're finally for women's lacrosse in Division Two going to automatic qualifying bids for our regional tournament, which was not the case before. So now knowing that when we make that final game, we're actually playing for a spot in the national tournament is super exciting. And like if we can just make it to that game, I think moving forward, actually competing for that spot in our region is just I think very realistic for this program. And really exciting to think about.
What would you tell your younger self now, looking back on your career as a head coach?
Oh, I think I would just tell myself to like keep doing what I'm doing and like don't try to change for like other people. And I think when I was younger, it was hard because as like a new head coach and I had all of these ideas and I didn't necessarily want to do the same thing that all of these other coaches are doing or have done. And just because something is done, a certain way for so long and there's not really a purpose behind it, like you can change things and you can be different. And when I was a younger coach, I'd have a lot of other coaches, be like, why are you doing it like that? Or why are you doing this? And it's like, well, because I think it'll work and because like things don't have to all be one way. And just to tell myself to keep going and like trust myself and try different things because like that's how you grow as a coach. That's how you stay true to yourself and genuine. And that's really like, I think the best way to coach, the best way to attract recruits is like be your true self. And just, you know, give myself encouragement to keep going. And, sometimes things you try are going to not work and sometimes they will. You just have to like keep trying.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college lacrosse?
Um, to enjoy every second they get to be around their teammates or get to be out on the field playing because 4 years goes by really fast. And when it's over, you don't want to have any regrets and you want to make sure that you put everything into those 4 years and you got everything you could out of that experience.
What advice would you give those college juniors transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
To just make sure that it's kind of same thing, like really enjoy that last year and enjoy all of the lasts, your last first practice, your last first game, your last, home game, your last everything because, um, you know, as sad as it is, like it's over after that year and you have to really just live in the moment and you have to just enjoy those things for what they are.
What advice would you give those seniors transitioning into being athletes, unlimited athletes, and playing professional lacrosse?
For me, we haven't really had those, and but I think for those people, it's amazing that that opportunity exists now for some of these women graduating college and going on and having opportunities to play professional lacrosse, because like that was not a thing, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that, they're like trailblazers and they can now be mentors, and like they're now a realistic goal for girls going into college lacrosse, whereas before, like, your career was done at the end of those 4 years, and now for some people it doesn't have to be. And it's like crazy to think about that, like that is now like a realistic option for some student athletes.
What advice would you give those players looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
That if they're thinking about it, they definitely should do it, and that it's not easy. And um there's definitely a learning curve, and but that once they get into it, like, they'll love it, and they'll love being able to give back to people that um were once, they were once in their spot.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program?
Um to be creative and think outside the box, because when you're building a new program, you're starting with nothing. So sometimes you have to do things differently than you would if you were coming into a more established program.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program?
Our Instagram is LMU. Actually, I need to look it up because I'm so bad at social media and remembering what our stuff is. We post a lot on our Instagram page. It's LMUW Lax. For me personally, it's just Alyssa M. Shaver is my personal Instagram. I don't post a lot, but we definitely post a lot on our LMU Women's Lacrosse page for anyone who wants to give us a follow.
Thank you again, Coach Alyssa Shaver, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at LMU.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Alyssa Shaver, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.